Well, has the government then come under pressure from tobacco lobbies? This is an issue that concerns so many millions of people in this country. And joining us tonight is India's former Health Minister, Mr. Dinesh Trivedi, who's here in the studio with us. It's a cause that he has personally fought for when he was a minister and even now continues to strongly believe in. Sambit Patra, spokesperson of the BJP. In fact, he's Dr. Sambit Patra, so it'll be interesting to see what Dr. Patra says tonight on what his colleagues in the BJP are saying. We have Y.V. Subba Reddy. He's an MP from the YSR Congress and someone who has supported what this MP's panel has said on the issue of these tobacco warnings. And Dr. Ajay Kumar, spokesperson of the Congress with us, will be joined by Dr. Pankaj Chaturvedi, oncologist with the Tata Memorial Hospital in Mumbai very shortly. Sambit Patra, let me just get your first reaction. You're a doctor as well, Sambit. When you hear, D.K. Gandhi, who is a fellow, who is an MP, a fellow party colleague of yours, saying that there are no Indian studies that really show that there's a link between tobacco and cancer. It seems like quite an astounding statement to make from a member of parliament. How do you react?
No, definitely you are right. It probably appears as a very astounding statement. But before going into the details of what Mr. Gandhi has said, let me speak, what is most essential over here, let me make the stand of the government absolutely clear. The government in October 2014, when Mr. Harshvardhan was the health minister, had come out with this rule that by April 1st, 2015, we will have the pictorial and the graphical depiction going up to 85% in these tobacco products, which the government stood by, and even now the government is fighting for it, since there is a protocol where the whole thing has to be submitted and has to be argued in the parliamentary committee on subordinate legislation. That's what is going on. The government is still standing by what it had legislated on October 2014. Now, having said that, let's come back to what the committee is saying. The committee is saying two things as far as my knowledge goes. Number one, it is saying that a comprehensive study is required. So I believe Mr. Gandhi might not have articulated well in saying that Indian tobacco may not cause cancer. What he probably would have meant, though I would not speak through his tongue.
No, he said not just to us but to some newspapers as well. He said there is no Indian government study that's proved a link between tobacco and cancer. So he's basically saying, well, we don't even know if tobacco causes cancer, so why go into these pictorial warnings? That's what he said.
No, that's not the, we should not derive only that as the reason as to why they are buying some time before the pictorial warnings are taken up.
But he said that. I'm asking you on that limited point, Sambit Patra, that as a member of parliament, should he have said that? Because there are plenty of studies, I can get into those details, but the long and the short of it, do you believe that as an MP, he should have made that correlation?
No, as a doctor, I would say that probably he has misarticulated. He wanted to say a comprehensive study regarding livelihood, regarding interministerial connection, regarding various other issues, like Mr. YSR Reddy has put, that since the harvesting season is going on for these 5 to 6 months, at least for these 5 to 6 months, don't see to it that we kick at the stomach of the people who are involved in it. So I think that's a comprehensive research that he was talking about, which in misarticulation probably appeared as a relation in a medical term.
Okay, let me get Mr. Dinesh Trivedi into this. The fact is, even though Sambit Patra says the government is sticking to what it had promised in October last year, which was to have these big warnings on cigarette packets, for instance, they're not going to do it. We got a confirmation from the Health Ministry today that they're not going ahead with it on the 1st of April. There are a list of reasons, which Sambit was talking about, livelihood of those who manufacture these, of farmers, that has been cited as a key reason as well. Do you believe that that is a good enough reason?
No, the very fact that government is backing out from what they had articulated and what they had promised, that itself to me is a big disappointment. As far as Mr. Gandhi is concerned, what do you do if somebody is ignorant about a subject which Mr. Mahapatra has very well articulated? All I would tell Mr. Gandhi is just go to a place called Tata Memorial Hospital for Cancer and just talk to the people, which I have spoken to the patient. They all say that please, we folded hands, we have been a victim of tobacco. Please tell people not to use this, because we would not have been here if we had not used. So definitely there is a link, and I think the doctors would tell you more about it. As far as the livelihood is concerned, let me tell you, when I was the health minister, it's a serious issue. We have got to balance the two. So what did I do? I wrote to the then agriculture minister, Mr. Sharad Pawar, that let's phase this out. Let's have a 10-year program. every year you start reducing the production of tobacco by, let's say, 10%, and give them cash crop, give them alternate crop. It's not that the farmers will not have any crop. We are just dependent only on tobacco. So let's have a holistic solution. Let's not make a fight between farmers, tobacco lobbies, and us versus them.
So what happened to that plan?
I do not know. I had written an official letter to Mr. Sharad Pawar, and after that, once I left the health ministry, I do not know where it stands now. But I think we need to have a holistic plan, and we need to not brush aside this. There is WHO study, the whole world is going. If this is true, then let the government remove the warning altogether. Why have the warning?
No, so are you saying that that they've come under pressure? Do you believe that they've come under pressure from tobacco lobbies here?
There is something, you see, there are two things. One is there is a tremendous amount of influence. Leave aside the cigarette companies. Let me tell you, Didi, the pressure and influence of gutka lobby is much more. Much more than the cigarette lobby is much, they are organized. This gutka lobby is much more, and harmful effect are both. Passive smoking itself is so terrible, but gutka lobby and the cancer, which I understand as a layman, talking to people who are suffering at the cancer hospitals, tobacco lobby is certainly very powerful.
Okay.
It's evident. It's evident.
It's pretty obvious that,
I'm
that
not trying
pressure
to
is there.
attribute motives, but it's quite evident.
Dr. Chaturvedi is there from the Tata Memorial Hospital from Mumbai. He joins us tonight. Dr. Chaturvedi, your first reaction then to what the head of the parliamentary panel has said, that there are just not any Indian government studies that show the link between tobacco and cancer. Are you completely taken aback by this statement?
See, Indian government has become a laughing stock in the entire world. How at this age and day anyone can claim, let alone a chairman of the Committee on Subordinate Legislation, which is supposed to be taking big decisions for the country, if that committee chairman says that there is no linkage between cancer based on the Indian data, I am appalled. My community is appalled, and as Dr. Sambit Patra will be appalled, and the whole world is laughing at us. That we recently submitted in the Supreme Court a big comprehensive report on the linkage between cancer and tobacco, and it is based purely on the Indian data. And at this point, if the industry themselves have agreed that tobacco causes cancer, and if they are putting a pictorial warning and a textual warning declaring that it causes cancer, then who is this member of parliament who claims to say that there is no linkage? And as Dr. Dinesh Trivedi said, it's a huge public health problem. Tobacco is an addiction and it's a disease. Every third adult Indian is suffering from a disease called tobacco addiction, for which there is no treatment. 27 crore people are suffering from this disease called addiction, and a third of them will die. 42 lakh heart diseases, 37 lakh lung diseases, 10 lakh deaths every year. And we are still debating whether tobacco is harmful, whether we should have some livelihood issue.
Those are scary statistics. And Dr. Chaturvedi, let me ask you, how much of a difference would it make to have 85% of, say, a cigarette packet covered with this huge picture warning that this is dangerous to your health? I mean, do you believe that this actually deters people from buying tobacco products?
See, basically, why 85%? Why there should not be 100% pictorial warning or product warning? The reason why I am saying this, that if I am selling a cancer-causing product, and if I am responsible for making profits out of that product, it is my responsibility to make the consumer aware of my product. Now, giving an escape route to the industry by having the lousiest warning in the entire world, we are 136th in the entire world in terms of warning on our products. So, rather than we are asking manufacturers to spread awareness, we are spending crores of the exchequer money to create awareness. So my logic is that it is not the government's job to spend money on the awareness of harmful effects of tobacco. Let the industry do it. And what is the best way for an industry to do it in India, where a lot of people are ignorant, illiterate, and children are
you're
using
right.
tobacco?
And it's not just the panel of MPs, Dr. Ajay Kumar, it's also FICCI and ASSOCHAM and these industry bodies that were also writing to the government of India in the last few weeks saying, don't do this, don't let this come into place. And well, now we are seeing that the government has indeed delayed that call and postponed it.
So, Nidhi, what do you expect? The Bharatiya Janata Party has a tremendous influence of the corporates on their head. And if you look, it's a common knowledge that, Mr. Harshvardhan was transferred because he wanted to, make open sale of cigarettes illegal. He wanted 85% pictorial warning, and that's why he was transferred. And Sambit as a doctor, I myself being a doctor, I find this very strange that Sambit at least has to come up front and say, look, Mr. Dilip Gandhi said the most unscientific and, a laughing stock, like Dr. Pankaj Chaturvedi said, we have become a laughing stock. He said the most ridiculous statement. But Dinesh also mentioned that gutka is one of the most, disastrous thing. The Chhattisgarh minister, Amar Agarwal, is one of the largest manufacturers of gutkadu, what they call in Chhattisgarh. So Bharatiya Janata Party, others may not want to say it, but I'm definitely saying they are in hand in gloves with the tobacco industry. And Mr. Harshvardhan was transferred because he was after the tobacco industry. That's a common knowledge.
I need to come in now.
Okay, Sambit, I'll give you a chance to respond. I just want to get Mr. Reddy in very quickly before I get into this political debate as well. Mr. Reddy, as a member of Parliament, why are you sympathetic to what the MPs panel has said? Because I saw one of your earlier quotes where you clearly said you do believe that there is a health risk by taking tobacco, and yet you feel that this is a decision that shouldn't be enforced right now. Why, sir?
See, first of all, I am not against bringing regulations to control the tobacco consumption, because I agree for that. As Dr. Chaturvedi said, tobacco consumption definitely will cause cancer and other diseases. But the only thing is, in my constituency in Andhra Pradesh, Prakasam district, about 60% of FCV tobacco is grown, used mainly for cigarette manufacturing. And that 60%, about 1 lakh farmers are dependable on this, and indirectly about 10 lakh workers are depending on this industry, tobacco industry. I want to have first replacement to my farmers. If they suddenly put these regulations and controls overnight, farmers will get affected. That is the reason I met Dilip Gandhiji, committee chairman, and told him, before taking any decision to putting curbs or regulations on the tobacco consumption, first involve the stakeholders, that means farmers, because they don't have any other alternative crops to grow immediately. I mean, viable crops. Whatever alternative crops they were trying all these years for last 10 years, they were incurring huge losses.